But for me, I look at the downside to this as... All right, welcome to Talking Investing. I am Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, I want to talk to you about a company named Marathon Digital Holdings, stock ticker MARA. For those of you familiar with the channel, you'll know that Marathon is a Bitcoin miner, and we cover the Bitcoin miners and Bitcoin quite a bit on this channel. So if that's content you're interested in, please do us a favor and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please smash the like button and feel free to leave a comment down below. We have a link in our pinned comment below to our Discord, so it's free to join. We're at almost 500 people, so we would love to have you come over and join us. With all that said, let's get to Marathon. Marathon put out their February and mining operations update a few days ago, and Bitcoin's having some interesting activity today. So I wanted to go through that update. They have an awful lot going on, so there's some big things to touch on. Then when we're done, I want to take a look at the chart and see where they're at and talk about some potential price targets as to where they may be going. So let's get to the press release and see what was going on in the month of February. Okay, Marathon Digital Holding announces Bitcoin production and mining operations updates for February 2022. This came out March 4th. February Bitcoin production increased 729% year over year, and total Bitcoin holdings increased to 8,956 Bitcoin as miners begin to come online at new facilities. So, corporate highlights as of March 1st, 2021. Produced 360.3 self-mined Bitcoin during February of 2022, a 729% increase from the 43.4 self-mined Bitcoin in February of 2021. So for those of you familiar with the channel, you will know that I don't put much stock in the year-over-year comparisons, particularly for companies like Marathon. The big 7 or 8 Bitcoin miners have ramped up so much over the last year that the year-over-year comparisons mean very little. I want to take a peek at January's numbers just so that we can put these in perspective. Okay, so this is from the January update. Corporate highlights as of February 1st, 2022, produced 462.1 self-mined Bitcoin during January. So that's over 100 less Bitcoin produced in the month of February. So there's some short-term stuff going on and some longer-term stuff going on. Okay, so let's keep going. Increased total Bitcoin holdings to approximately 8,956 Bitcoin with a fair market value of approximately $386.8 million. So they're at almost 9,000 Bitcoin. I believe that's the most out of any Bitcoin miner. However, they did buy 4,000 of these at the beginning of 2021. Their cost basis is a little different than the other miners who mostly have 100% or close to 100% self-mined Bitcoin. There are a few exceptions. Some other Bitcoin miners have bought some Bitcoin as well. Cash on hand was approximately $106 million, and total liquidity defined as cash and Bitcoin holdings was approximately $493 million. So that's a $500 million in current assets. This company's balance sheet is very strong, so that's never really been an issue for them, but it's good news that they're reporting that. Increased hash rate 8% from the prior month after successfully deploying and energizing 2,800 miners in the month of February. So I definitely want to talk a bunch more about this. 2,800 miners were deployed, so that increased their hash rate by 8%. They have over 60,000 miners that they have received and paid for that are not plugged in and running right now. So again, this is where I talk about long-term versus short-term. This is a short-term problem. It looks like they will have this squared away at some point, but they are definitely way behind where they planned to be. You know, from a supply chain standpoint, they have twice as many miners in storage as they do up and running, so their hash rate is going to grow substantially. They have purchase orders all the way up to 199,000 Bitcoin miners by sometime, they think, in Q1 of 2023. So there's massive growth ahead in this company. But you can see on a month-to-month basis, the month of February, they actually mined 100 less Bitcoin than in the month of January. And this has been an ongoing problem with Marathon for a period of time. So that is something they're going to need to focus on for the rest of 2022. By the end of 2022, they need to have their machines plugged in. They need to stop having so much downtime and have a little more consistency. I think we're going to see them move in that direction, and we're certainly going to see their exahash rate go up substantially either way. The question is, can they catch up to their plan and stay on plan? If they do, that will get them to 23.3 exahash by the end of Q1 2023. That plan would make them multiples bigger than they are right now. We'll see later they're currently under 4 exahash at the moment. Their existing mining fleet consisted of 35,510 active miners producing approximately 3.8 exahash. So they do continue to grow their exahash, but it is not nearly at the rate that they were hoping for by March of 2022. Execution is going to be critical for this company for the rest of the year. They've got to get those machines plugged in as fast as they can and get their hash rate up to where they've been talking about. To put it in perspective, Core Scientific has been mining around 1,000 Bitcoin per month for the last 3 months. So for Marathon to be at 360, they're falling a little bit behind at the moment. Marathon has plans to catch up to and maybe even pass Core Scientific over the course of the next year, but right now, they're substantially behind them. After successfully breaking the mold and deploying behind the meter at scale, deployments are expected to continue to accelerate through the rest of 2022. So this is what we've been talking about. They're saying continue to accelerate, so they're not really being very specific. I think they still have some hurdles to jump through to get the facilities, the energy facilities, ready for these miners. Now, a lot of what they're doing is, quote, behind the fence, meaning it's off the grid. They are creating an energy supply and supplying the energy to themselves. So that is a more difficult process, but ultimately that's a greener process. It's not taking energy out of the existing system, and they're working towards using a lot more green energy, wind and solar in specific. The company continues to expect its mining operations to be 100% carbon neutral by the end of 2022. So that is a lofty goal. I think they're going to have to buy a lot of carbon credits in order to do that, because they do use a lot of traditional energy at this point. Now, their existing amount of hash rate is very small compared to what they're going to install. So if they get themselves up to 20 exahash and, there's 2 or 3 exahash that's not green, that's going to get them over 90%. And, then they may get the rest of the way with carbon credits. I'm not sure. Okay, just to note, the company last sold Bitcoin on October 21st, 2020. So that's like 15 months ago. So they have all of the Bitcoin that they've mined over the last well over a year. So that's how they got to basically almost 9,000 Bitcoin. And they say here that includes 4,813 Bitcoin the company purchased in January of 2021 at an average price of $31,000. So again, the other half of the Bitcoin that they're holding, they mined. So obviously their cost basis in that is significantly less. They're still saying they're going to catch up within the time frame they talked about. So that's what we're going to have to see with Marathon for the rest of the year. Can they get all of these machines up and running and catch back up to their plan? Okay, so Marathon's trading at $25.77 as of right now. It's up over 15% on the day today. Bitcoin is having a good day, and all the Bitcoin miners are up significantly. So most of them are up over 10%, but Marathon is kind of leading the way today. 15% is one of the higher numbers. So they're having a very good day. They're having a nice run. We'll get to the chart next, and we'll take a more detailed look at that. But if you look at their market cap, right now it is $2.57 billion. So I just want to show you a chart of where they've been in the past versus where they are right now. And again, they're at about $2.57 billion right now. So if I go to the chart for the last year, you'll see that in November, this was November 9th, they were at $7.67 billion market cap. So that's triple what they are right now. At this point, they were only at about 2 exahash when they were at $7.59 billion. If they can get themselves up to 10 or 12 over the next 3 or 4 months, it's hard to understand how their market cap could be cut into a third when they've tripled or quadrupled their productivity. So I guess what I'm saying with this is I think there's a lot of room to the upside in Marathon if they can execute. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is a little bit zoomed in. This is the Marathon chart on the 2-hour time frame. So each one of these candles represents 2 hours. So you can see we're in the first 2 hours of the trading day today, and you can see that Marathon gapped up a bunch at the open and has been going up ever since. This green line takes us back to January 21st. So it was somewhere around between January 21st and January 24th that Bitcoin bottomed out, and it hit just under 33,000 for one day. This was the bottom of Bitcoin, and this also created a line of support for Marathon. So this is their 52-week low, and when we zoom out, you're going to see just how low this is versus just 3 or 4 months ago. Okay, so first I would just want to show you where we got to with Marathon in November. So Marathon had a spike. This actually went up even a lot more than the other Bitcoin miners. There may have been a little bit of a bubble going on here in Marathon. In other words, it went up to $83.51, which was dramatically higher than its April highs. And most of the other Bitcoin miners just got back up to their April highs or somewhere in that neighborhood. This yellow line is Marathon's April high. So they actually went 45% past that. So that was a big run up. This little drop off I'm not as concerned about, but from here you can see as Bitcoin went down, Marathon has gone down and followed along. So even if we just go from here, which is December 1st, to where we're trading right now, Marathon's down 55% in that period of time. And from their high to where they're trading right now, they're down close to 70%. So again, I'm not necessarily expecting this as a price target anytime soon, but I do think we could get back to some of these other numbers, particularly back to where we were just on December 1st, which was only, just a little over 3 months ago. So the first thing to look at is from its line of support, which it hit twice, at the lows in January and at its low in February. Marathon's up 31%. Now half of that's today. It's up 15% today. So, it's on a nice run. So the first price target this is December 27th. So you'll know we go back to this date a lot on the channel. Bitcoin had a local high on December 27th, and pretty much all the Bitcoin miners hit a local high on that day. Bitcoin got up to about $52,000 at its peak on that day. We're at about 42,500, so we got a ways to go to get there. But if Bitcoin can continue to trend healthy, and of course, if Marathon can execute over the next 3 to 4 months, they could be at 10 exahash. So this is a very modest goal to get back to just where they were on December 27th. The other number that I would look at is I'm not going to go to their all-time high that they hit in November in the 80s at $83. I'm just going to go to this $57 threshold. That was their previous high back in April, and you can see they only ran past that and ran right back down to it in a short period of time. So to me, this is a more realistic goal than 83. So Bitcoin was trading at around $57,000 at that time, off of its highs, but much higher than it is right now. So, if Bitcoin can get healthy, and again, you have to take into account that over the next 90 or 120 or 150 days, Marathon will have 5x'd the amount of exahash rate they have versus this date that they were at $57. So I think this is an extremely realistic price target. Now, please, again, this is not financial information. You guys have to do your own due diligence and make your own buying decisions. But for me, I look at the downside to this as they have a line of support. It's now with today's huge move up, their line of support is about 30% down. Even if we call this a 2022 price target, that's 118% upside. So those are my thoughts on Marathon. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.